My husband doesn't want you here. Everything stopped. The organ music, the whispered conversations, even the June sunlight streaming through the stained glass seemed to freeze in place. 200 guests turned in their pews to stare at me, but I couldn't look at them. I could only stare at Nia, my baby girl, standing at that altar in the $8,000 dress I'd paid for, pointing her finger at me like I was a stranger who'd wandered in off the street. "Did you hear me?" she said, her voice rising. "Deshawn said you're not welcome at our wedding, so you need to leave. Now." The man she was about to marry. The man I'd never trusted. The man who'd convinced my daughter to drain my life savings, stood beside her with his arms crossed and a smirk on his face. He didn't say a word. He didn't have to. Nia was doing all his dirty work for him, just like she'd been doing for the past year. I want to tell you how I got to this moment, but first, I need you to understand something. I'm 67 years old. I raised Nia by myself after her father walked out when she was 3. I worked double shifts at the hospital for 32 years, wore shoes with holes in them so she could have new ones, and ate leftovers for dinner so she could have hot meals. I gave that girl everything I had. Everything. And she gave me this. Let me back up 6 months. That's when Nia came to my house with Deshawn, both of them grinning like they'd won the lottery. They sat on my couch, the same couch I'd had since 1998 because I couldn't afford a new one. And Nia grabbed my hands. "Mama," she said, "we're getting married." I should have been happy. I should have hugged her and cried tears of joy. But something in my stomach twisted when I looked at Deshawn. He had these cold eyes that never quite smiled, even when his mouth did. And the way he sat there, like he owned my living room, made me uncomfortable. "That's wonderful, baby," I said, squeezing her hands. "When are you thinking?" "June 15th, Nia said, "at Mount Zion. Pastor Green already said yes." "That's only 6 months away," I said. "I know." She glanced at Deshawn, and he nodded at her like he was giving her permission to speak. That should have been my first real warning. "Mama, I want to ask you something. It's important." I waited. "I want a real wedding," she said, "like the ones I used to show you in those magazines when I was little. Remember? You always said when I got married, you'd give me the wedding of my dreams." I did remember. But I'd said that when she was 10 years old, before life taught me that dreams cost money I didn't have. "How much are we talking about?" I asked. Deshawn leaned forward. $75,000, he said, like it was nothing. Like I had that kind of money sitting in a shoebox under my bed. I actually laughed. "Baby, I don't have $75,000. "But you have your retirement fund," Nia said. Her voice got soft, pleading. "Mama, you worked so hard your whole life. This is my one wedding. I'll never ask you for anything again. Please, I need this." I looked at my daughter's face. The same face I'd kissed goodnight for 18 years. The same little girl who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. And I felt my heart breaking because I knew what she was asking me to do, and I knew I was going to do it. "That money is for my future," I said quietly. "For when I can't work anymore. For medical bills. For—" "You're healthy as a horse," Deshawn interrupted. "You got at least 20 more good years. You can rebuild it. But Nia can't have another first wedding. This is it." The way he said it made me want to tell them both to leave. But Nia was crying now, and she was my baby, and I'd never been able to say no when she cried. "Let me think about it," I said. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at my kitchen table with my bank statement spread out in front of me, looking at the $68,000 I'd saved over 32 years of working myself to the bone. It wasn't enough to retire on anyway, I told myself. And maybe Deshawn was right. Maybe I could rebuild it. But it wasn't about the money, not really. It was about the fact that Nia had never once asked me how I was doing. She'd never asked if I needed anything. She'd just shown up with her hand out, and I was tired. So tired. I called my best friend Wanda the next morning. Wanda and I had known each other since high school. She'd been there through everything: my divorce, raising Nia alone, my mama's funeral. If anyone would tell me the truth, it was her. "Don't do it," she said as soon as I finished explaining. "Alma, baby, don't give that girl your retirement money." "She's my daughter," I said. "And you're her mother, not her personal ATM," Wanda shot back. "You see how that man looks at you? Like you're something he stepped in. He's using her to get to your money, and she's too foolish to see it." "Maybe I'm being selfish," I said. "Selfish?" Wanda's voice rose. "You're the least selfish person I know. You gave up your whole life for that girl. When is it your turn, Alma? When do you get to rest?" I didn't have an answer for that. 3 days later, I called Nia and told her yes. The sound of her screaming with joy should have made me happy. Instead, it made me feel empty. Before we continue, please tell us where you're watching from so we know how far our stories reach, and subscribe to the channel to help us grow. The next 6 months were a blur. Nia came over every week with new expenses. The dress needed alterations. The venue required a bigger deposit. The photographer wanted more money. The flowers cost twice what she'd budgeted. Every time she'd look at me with those big eyes and say, "Mama, I know it's a lot, but it's my special day." By April, I'd given her $71,000. I had $3,000 left in my account, $3,000 between me and being completely broke. "That's it," I told her one Sunday after church. "Baby, I've given you everything I have." She hugged me tight. "Thank you, Mama. You're the best mother in the world. I love you so much." It was the last time she said she loved me. After that, things changed. Nia stopped coming by as often. When she did, Deshaun was always with her, and he did most of the talking. They'd sit in my living room and discuss wedding details like I wasn't there. When I tried to offer suggestions, Deshaun would cut me off. "We got it handled," he'd say. 2 weeks before the wedding, I asked Nia if I could see her dress one more time. I'd paid for it, after all. I wanted to see my baby girl in it, to remember why I'd sacrificed everything. "It's at Deshaun's place," she said, not looking at me. "I'll send you a picture." She never did. The Monday before the wedding, I went to Mount Zion to make sure everything was set up correctly. I'd paid for the venue, the flowers, the whole thing. I wanted it to be perfect for Nia. Pastor Green met me in the sanctuary. He's a good man, been at Mount Zion for 20 years. He looked uncomfortable when he saw me. "Sister Alma," he said, "we need to talk." My heart started pounding. "What's wrong?" "Deshaun came by yesterday," Pastor Green said. "He said you've been causing problems with the wedding planning. He said you're trying to control everything and it's stressing Nia out." I felt like I'd been slapped. "That's not true." "He also said—" Pastor Green paused, looking pained. "He said you might show up and make a scene on Saturday. He asked if we could have you sit in the back, away from the family section." "The family section?" I repeated. "I'm her mother." "I know," Pastor Green said gently. "And I told him that was inappropriate. But Sister Alma, I'm just letting you know what he said. Be prepared for some tension on Saturday." I should have known then. I should have seen what was coming. But I was so focused on making sure Nia's day was perfect that I ignored every warning sign. Saturday morning, I got dressed in the navy blue dress I'd bought at Macy's, on sale, because I couldn't afford anything else after paying for the wedding. I did my hair and makeup. I pinned on my mother of the bride corsage, and I drove to Mount Zion with my hands shaking on the steering wheel. The church was beautiful. The flowers I'd paid for lined the aisle. The white runner I'd ordered stretched from the doors to the altar. 200 guests filled the pews, most of them people I didn't know. Deshaun's family and friends, very few people from Nia's life. Wanda found me in the vestibule. "You okay?" she asked. "I'm fine," I lied. "Where are you sitting?" "Front row," I said. "I'm her mother." But when I tried to walk down the aisle, Deshawn's brother, a big man in an expensive suit, stepped in front of me. "You're in the back," he said. "Excuse me?" "Family section is full," he said. "You're sitting in the back." I looked past him and saw the front rows. Half the seats were empty. "Those are reserved," he said, following my gaze. Wanda grabbed my arm. "Alma, let's just sit down. Don't make a scene." So I sat in the back, like a guest, like someone who hadn't given up everything for this day. The music started. The bridesmaids walked down the aisle in their coral dresses, $300 each, which I'd also paid for. Then the flower girl, Nia's niece from Deshawn's side. Then the ring bearer. Then Nia appeared in the doorway, and my breath caught. She looked beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The dress fit her perfectly. Her hair was swept up with baby's breath woven through it. She was glowing, but she was alone. No one was walking her down the aisle. I stood up without thinking. "Baby?" I called out. She looked at me. For one moment, I saw my little girl again, the one who used to need me for everything. But then Deshawn stepped into view behind her, and her face changed, got hard. "Mama," she said loud enough for everyone to hear. "What are you doing? I walked toward her. "I thought I could walk you down the aisle." "No," she said. "But baby, I'm your mother. Your father's not here. I said no." Her voice echoed through the sanctuary. "I'm walking alone. Go sit down." I felt 200 pairs of eyes on me, but I couldn't move. I'd given this girl everything, and she couldn't even let me walk her down the aisle? "Nia," I said softly, "please." That's when she said it. That's when my daughter looked at me with hatred in her eyes and said the words that brought me to this moment. "My husband doesn't want you here." And that's when something inside me broke. But it didn't break the way you might think. It didn't shatter into a million pieces that I'd have to pick up later. It broke clean. Like a bone that had been fractured for years finally snapping. And suddenly, I could see clearly for the first time in months. Maybe years. I looked at my daughter. I looked at Deshawn standing behind her with that smirk on his face. I looked at all those strangers sitting in pews, watching my humiliation like it was entertainment. And I made a decision. I walked up to that altar, and I didn't stop until I was face to face with Pastor Green. He looked terrified. "Sister Alma," he started, but I held up my hand. "Who paid for this wedding?" I asked loudly enough for everyone to hear. He didn't answer. "I asked you a question, Pastor. Who paid for this dress? These flowers? This venue? The reception that's about to happen in the banquet hall downstairs?" "Sister Alma." "Me," I said. "I paid for all of it. Every single dollar came from my retirement fund. The money I saved for 32 years so I wouldn't be a burden on anyone when I got old." The sanctuary was dead silent. Nia's face had gone pale. "Mama," she whispered, "don't do this." I turned to her. "Don't do what, baby? Tell the truth? You just told me your husband doesn't want me here, at the wedding I paid for, so I'm gonna fix that problem right now." I pulled out my phone and made a call. It rang 3 times before someone answered. "Alma?" It was Wanda. "Call everyone," I said. "Call the caterers, call the DJ, call the photographer. Tell them the wedding is canceled. Everything. Tell them to pack up and go home." "Mama, no!" Nia screamed. "You can't do this." "Watch me," I said. And I walked out of Mount Zion Baptist Church without looking back. I made it halfway across the parking lot before Nia caught up to me. "Mama, stop!" She grabbed my arm, her nails digging into my skin through the fabric of my dress. "You can't just leave. You can't cancel my wedding." I turned to face her. She was crying, her carefully applied makeup running down her cheeks. Part of me, the part that had raised her, that had sacrificed everything for her, wanted to comfort her, wanted to wipe her tears and tell her it would be okay. But I looked into her eyes and saw something that killed that instinct dead. She wasn't crying because she'd hurt me. She was crying because I'd embarrassed her. "It's not your wedding, baby," I said quietly. "It's mine. I paid for it, and I just decided I don't want to throw a party for people who don't want me there." "You're being selfish!" she screamed. "This is my day, my one special day, and you're ruining it because your feelings are hurt?" "My feelings?" I pulled my arm free from her grip. "Nia, you told me your husband doesn't want me at the wedding. You put me in the back of the church like I was nobody. After I gave you $71,000. After I worked myself half to death for 32 years to give you everything you wanted. You offered that money," she shot back. "I didn't force you." "You're right," I said. "You didn't force me. I gave it to you because you're my daughter and I love you. But you know what? You haven't said you love me in months. You stopped calling. You stopped visiting unless you needed something. And today, you looked at me like I was trash." Deshaun appeared behind her, still in his tuxedo. Up close, I could see how expensive it was. Probably cost more than my entire outfit. Money he hadn't paid for. "Mrs. Fletcher," he said, his voice dripping with fake respect. "I think you need to calm down. You're making a scene." "I'm making a scene?" I laughed, and it came out harsh. "You had your brother block me from sitting with my own daughter. You told the pastor I might cause problems. And now you want to talk about scenes?" "I was trying to protect Nia," he said. "You've been stressing her out for months with your constant interference." "Interference? I paid for everything." "And you never let us forget it," Deshaun said. "Every conversation, every decision. You had to remind us how much you were spending. Like you were buying control over our wedding." I felt like I'd been punched. "That's not true." "Isn't it?" He put his arm around Nia. "You tried to pick her dress. You tried to change the menu. You wanted your friends at the reception instead of our friends. You made everything about you." "That's a lie," I said, but my voice shook. Was it a lie? I'd had opinions, sure, but I'd never forced anything. Had I? "Mama," Nia said, and her voice was cold now. "Maybe this is for the best. Maybe we need some space from each other." Those words hit harder than anything else. Space. Like I was the problem. "Fine," I said. "You want space? You got it. But understand something. I'm not just canceling the wedding. I'm done. I'm done being your bank account. I'm done being disrespected. I'm done watching you let this man turn you against me." "Turn me against you?" Nia's eyes flashed. "You did this yourself. You couldn't just let me be happy." "You had to make today about you and your hurt feelings." I opened my mouth to respond, but Wanda's car pulled up beside us. She leaned out the window. "Alma, get in." I looked at my daughter one more time. She was staring at me with such anger that I barely recognized her. "I hope you're happy," Nia said. "You just destroyed the most important day of my life." I got in Wanda's car without another word. As we drove away, I could see Nia and Deshaun in the rearview mirror, standing in the parking lot. Guests were starting to come outside, confused about what was happening. "You okay?" Wanda asked. "No," I said. And then I started crying. Not quiet tears, but deep, gasping sobs that came from somewhere dark inside me. Wanda pulled over and held me while I fell apart. "I gave her everything," I choked out. "Everything, Wanda. And she hates me." "She doesn't hate you," Wanda said. "She's confused. That man has poisoned her mind." "Maybe I did make it about me," I said. "Maybe I was controlling." "Stop it!" Wanda's voice was sharp. "You gave opinions. You were involved. That's what mothers do. You weren't controlling. You were present. And he couldn't stand it because he wants to isolate her. That's what men like him do, Alma. They separate women from everyone who might tell them the truth." I wanted to believe her, but doubt had crept in, settling in my chest like a weight. Wanda drove me home. My little house on Maple Street looked the same as always, but walking through the door felt different. Empty. Like I'd left something important behind at that church. "I'll stay with you tonight," Wanda said. "You don't have to. I'm staying." She made tea while I changed out of my dress. I hung it in the closet, knowing I'd never wear it again. Then I sat on my bed and looked at my bank statement on my phone. $3,000. That's all I had left. 32 years of work. Gone. My phone started ringing. I didn't recognize the number, but I answered anyway. "Mrs. Fletcher?" A woman's voice. "This is Jenna from Elegant Affairs Catering. I just got a very angry call from a Mr. Deshaun Martinez demanding that we still provide service for his reception. He says you had no right to cancel." "I paid for it," I said. "I had every right." "That's what I told him," Janae said. "But he's threatening to sue us. And honestly, I'm calling because I want to thank you. He's been horrible to work with. Rude, demanding, changing orders at the last minute. When I told him we'd already packed up like you requested, he called me some names I won't repeat. So thank you for giving me a reason to fire him as a client." I actually smiled a little. "You're welcome." "Also," Janae continued, "I'm refunding half your deposit. The food wasn't prepared yet, so I don't need to keep it all. It's not much, but it's something." "Thank you," I whispered. After I hung up, Wanda looked at me. "See? Even strangers can see what kind of man he is." My phone rang again. This time it was Pastor Green. "Sister Alma," he said, "I just want you to know that I support what you did. I should have stood up to Deshaun when he tried to have you moved to the back. I'm sorry I didn't." Before we continue, quick question. What would you do in this situation? Let us know in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. "It's okay, Pastor." "No, it's not," he said. "That young man showed his true colors today, and I'm ashamed I didn't see it sooner. I'm going to call Nia tomorrow and suggest they do some premarital counseling before they try this again. If they try again." "Thank you," I said. "You're always welcome at Mount Zion," he said. "Always." Over the next 3 hours, I got calls from the photographer, the florist, and the DJ. All of them had similar stories. Deshaun had been difficult, demanding, sometimes verbally abusive. Several of them thanked me for canceling and offered partial refunds. By evening, I'd gotten back about $4,000 in refunds. It wasn't much compared to what I'd spent, but it was something. Nia didn't call. Sunday morning, I woke up to discover I'd been blocked on social media. I couldn't see Nia's pages anymore. When I tried to call her, it went straight to voicemail. "She blocked you?" Wanda said, furious. "After everything you did for her?" "Maybe she needs time," I said, but I didn't believe it. Monday morning, I went to work at St. Catherine's Hospital like nothing had happened. I'm a patient advocate, which means I help people navigate the medical system when they're too sick or confused to do it themselves. It's good work, important work. And it kept my mind off Nia for a few hours. During my lunch break, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Is this Alma Fletcher?" A man's voice. "Yes." "This is Gerald Hawkins. I'm an attorney. Deshaun Martinez hired me to sue you for the cost of his wedding." My blood went cold. "Sue me?" "He claims you entered into a verbal contract to pay for his wedding and then breached that contract by canceling services. He's seeking $75,000 in damages." I couldn't breathe. I gave them $71,000. The wedding didn't happen because he disrespected me in front of everyone. "I understand," Mr. Hawkins said. "But legally, a verbal contract is still a contract, and you did agree to pay for the wedding. So he can treat me like garbage, and I still owe him money?" There was a pause. "Mrs. Fletcher, I'm calling you because I wanted to give you a heads up before the lawsuit is filed. And because between you and me, I think Deshaun Martinez is a snake. I've only been his attorney for 2 days, and I already can't stand him. But he's paying me, so I have to represent him. What should I do? Get your own lawyer, he said. A good one. And document everything. Every payment you made, every conversation you had, every text message. You're going to need it. After he hung up, I sat in my car and shook. A lawsuit. He was actually going to sue me. I called Wanda. I need a lawyer. I know someone, she said immediately. Rashida Okonkwo. She's tough as nails and she doesn't lose. Let me call her. 2 hours later, I was sitting in Rashida Okonkwo's office in downtown Atlanta. She was a tall, elegant woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. Tell me everything, she said. So I did. I told her about the money, the wedding, the humiliation. I showed her my bank statements, text messages, everything. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair. Okay. First thing, you're not going to lose this lawsuit. He has no case. You gave gifts to your daughter, not contractual payments to him. And even if there was a contract, he breached it first by creating a hostile environment. I felt relief flood through me. Really? Really, she said. But here's what we're going to do. We're not just going to defend against his lawsuit. We're going to countersue. For what? Financial elder abuse, Rashida said. He manipulated your daughter into getting you to drain your retirement savings. Then, he created conditions that made it impossible for you to participate in the event you funded. That's exploitation. And it's illegal in Georgia. I don't want to hurt Nia, I said. This isn't about Nia, Rashida said firmly. This is about Deshaun. And if your daughter was complicit in his scheme, then she needs to face consequences too. I'm sorry, Mrs. Fletcher, but somebody has to protect you since you won't protect yourself. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Nia as a little girl, the way she used to hold my hand when we crossed the street, the way she'd climb into my lap when she was scared. Where had that little girl gone? Tuesday afternoon, I got a text from a number I didn't know. This is Keisha, Deshaun's sister. I need to talk to you. It's important. Can we meet? I stared at the message. Deshaun's sister? Why would she want to talk to me? I showed it to Wanda, who'd basically moved into my guest room at this point. Don't go, she said immediately. It's a trap. What if it's not? I said. What if she knows something? Then she can tell you over the phone. But something in my gut told me to meet her. So I texted back. Bell's Cafe. Tomorrow at 2. Bell's Cafe was a Black-owned coffee shop on the west side, always full of people. Safe. Public. Keisha showed up 10 minutes late. She was younger than Deshaun, maybe 30, with braids and tired eyes. She sat down across from me without ordering anything. Thank you for meeting me, she said. What do you want? I asked. She took a deep breath. I want to tell you that my brother is a con artist, and Nia isn't his first victim. My heart stopped. What? There were 2 others before her, Keisha said quietly. One in Miami, one in Houston. Both older women with daughters around Nia's age. Deshaun gets close to the daughter, convinces her to get money from her mother, then disappears after the wedding with whatever he can take. Why are you telling me this? I whispered. Because I'm tired of watching him destroy families, she said. And because this time he's suing someone who fought back. He usually just takes the money and runs. But you embarrassed him. You made him look like a fool in front of everyone. So now he wants to destroy you. Does Nia know about the other women? Keisha shook her head. She thinks she's special. He told her they're soulmates. He love-bombed her hard. I watched it happen. 6 months ago, she was a smart, independent woman. Now she does whatever he says. How do I prove this? I asked. Keisha pulled out a flash drive and slid it across the table. Everything's on here. Names, dates, court records from when one of the women tried to sue him. He settled out of court and made her sign an NDA, but I kept copies. Why? Because he's my brother. But he's also a monster, Keisha said. And I can't let him keep doing this. I picked up the flash drive with shaking hands. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, she said. When he finds out I helped you, my family will disown me. But it's worth it if it stops him. After she left, I sat in Belle's cafe for a long time, staring at that flash drive. This was it. This was the proof I needed. Not just to defend myself in court, but to show Nia who she'd really been about to marry. I called Rashida immediately. I need to see you, now. That evening, sitting in Rashida's office, we went through everything on the flash drive. Court documents, photos, text messages from the other women describing exactly what Deshawn had done to them. This is gold, Rashida said. With this, we can not only defend against his lawsuit, we can get him arrested for fraud. What about Nia? I asked. Rashida looked at me seriously. That depends on how involved she was. If she was just being manipulated, she might be okay. But if she knowingly participated in defrauding you... She's my daughter, I said. I know, Rashida said gently. But Alma, at some point, you have to choose yourself. You have to save yourself. I went home that night feeling heavy. The flash drive sat in my purse like a bomb. I could use it to destroy Deshawn. But in the process, I might lose my daughter forever. Wednesday morning, I woke up to my phone ringing. It was a number from the courthouse. Ms. Fletcher? This is the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. We have a warrant for your arrest. Everything stopped. What? Deshawn Martinez filed charges against you for theft and destruction of property. You need to come turn yourself in by Friday, or we'll come get you. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. Ms. Fletcher, did you hear me? Yes, I whispered. After I hung up, I sat on my bed in shock. He hadn't just sued me. He'd had me arrested. And that's when I knew. I knew I had to fight back with everything I had, even if it meant losing Nia forever. Because if I didn't fight, I'd lose myself instead. I didn't get arrested. Rashida made sure of that. She met me at the courthouse Thursday morning with a briefcase full of documents and fire in her eyes. We walked past the metal detectors, past people waiting for their own court dates, and straight into a meeting with the district attorney. My client is not turning herself in, Rashida said before anyone could speak, because the charges against her are fraudulent and I can prove it. The DA was a tired-looking black man in his 50s named Carl Henderson. He glanced at me, then at Rashida. Counselor, your client canceled a wedding she agreed to pay for and destroyed property that didn't belong to her. My client withdrew financial support from an event after being publicly humiliated and excluded by the very people she was supporting, Rashida corrected. And she didn't destroy anything. She canceled vendor contracts that were in her name and paid for with her money. That's not theft. That's exercising her rights. She slid a folder across the desk. But that's not why we're here. We're here because Deshawn Martinez is a con artist who has defrauded at least 3 women, including my client, out of their life savings. And I have proof. D.A. Henderson opened the folder. His expression changed as he read. Where did you get this? He asked quietly. A confidential source, Rashida said. Someone who's tired of watching him operate. For the next hour, we sat in that office while D.A. Henderson made phone calls. First to Miami, then to Houston, then to someone in his own office. Finally, he looked at me. Ms. Fletcher, I'm dropping the charges against you, and I'm opening an investigation into Mr. Martinez. I felt like I could breathe for the first time in days. However, Henderson continued, I need to ask you some questions about your daughter. How much did she know about his previous relationships? My stomach dropped. She didn't know anything. He lied to her too. Are you certain? Henderson's voice was gentle but firm. Because if she helped him access your money knowing his history, that makes her an accomplice. She didn't know, I said firmly. She's not a criminal. She's just a girl who fell in love with the wrong man. Henderson nodded slowly. I hope you're right. For both your sakes. That afternoon, Rashida filed our countersuit. Not just against Deshawn, but for everything. Fraud, elder abuse, emotional distress. She also filed a restraining order to keep him away from me. Now we wait, she said. The hearing is in 2 weeks. I went home and slept for 12 hours straight. When I woke up, it was Friday evening and Wanda was cooking dinner in my kitchen. You're still here? I asked. Where else would I be? She set a plate of baked chicken and collard greens in front of me. Eat. I ate. The food tasted like home, like safety, like everything I'd been missing. Have you heard from Nia? Wanda asked carefully. I shook my head. She still has me blocked. Maybe that's for the best right now. But it wasn't for the best. It was killing me. Every night I'd lie in bed thinking about my daughter, wondering if she was okay, wondering if Deshawn had told her about the investigation, wondering if she hated me even more now. The next 2 weeks crawled by. I went to work. I came home. I avoided social media because I knew people were talking about me. The wedding that never happened had become gossip all over Atlanta. Then, 3 days before the hearing, my doorbell rang at 9 o'clock at night. I looked through the peephole and saw Nia standing on my porch. My hands shook as I opened the door. She looked terrible, thinner than she'd been at the wedding, with dark circles under her eyes. She was wearing sweatpants and one of my old college sweatshirts that she must have kept from years ago. Hi, Mama, she said quietly. I wanted to slam the door in her face. I wanted to hug her. I wanted to scream. Instead, I just stepped aside and let her in. She sat on the couch, the same couch where she and Deshawn had first asked me for money. It felt like a lifetime ago. I'm not here to apologize, she said. Not yet. I'm here because I need to know if it's true. If what's true? The other women. Her voice cracked. A detective came to see me yesterday. He told me Deshawn did this before, in Miami and Houston. He said Deshawn is a con artist and I was just another mark. I sat down across from her. It's true. She made a sound like a wounded animal. How long have you known? A week and a half, I said. His sister told me. She gave me proof. And you didn't tell me? Nia's voice rose. You knew he was scamming me and you didn't. You blocked me, I shot back. You cut me out of your life, Nia. You chose him over me. What was I supposed to do, show up at your door so he could call the police? She fell silent. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Did you love me at all? She whispered. Or was I just stupid? He loved the idea of me, she said bitterly. The girl whose mama had retirement savings. That's all I was to him. A wallet with legs. You're more than that, I said. You've always been more than that. Then why did you give up on me? She looked at me with so much pain. At the church, why did you just walk away? Because you told me your husband didn't want me there, I said. Because you put me in the back of the church like I was nobody. Because I gave you everything, Nia. Everything I had. And you treated me like garbage. I know, she sobbed. I know I did. And I'm so sorry, Mama. I'm so sorry. I wanted to forgive her right then. I wanted to tell her it was okay and hold her like I did when she was little. But Wanda's words echoed in my head. When is it your turn, Alma? Sorry isn't enough, I said quietly. Nia looked up at me, shocked. What? You hurt me, baby. You really hurt me. And I know Deshawn manipulated you. I know he poisoned your mind against me. But you still made choices. You still said those things. You still took my money and cut me out of your life. So what are you saying? Her voice got hard. You won't forgive me? I'm saying I need time, I said. I'm saying you can't just walk back in here and expect everything to be fine because you apologized. I'm saying I deserve better than that. I'm your daughter. And I'm your mother. I stood up, my voice shaking. I worked myself to death for you. I gave up everything for you. And the one time I needed you to stand up for me, you didn't. So yes, I need time. Naya stood too. For a moment, we just stared at each other. Then she nodded slowly. Okay, she said. Okay, Mama. I understand. She walked to the door, then turned back. For what it's worth, I broke up with him. The minute that detective told me the truth, I left. I'm staying with a friend from work. Good, I said. That's good, baby. And Mama? She wiped her eyes. I'm going to testify against him, at the hearing. The detective said you're suing him, and I want to help. I want to make this right. After she left, I sat in the dark for a long time. Wanda came out of the guest room where she'd been hiding. You did good, she said. Did I? I asked. Maybe I should have just forgiven her. You can forgive her and still need time to heal, Wanda said. Those two things aren't mutually exclusive. You taught her an important lesson tonight. That actions have consequences, even when you're sorry. Especially when you're sorry. The hearing was on a Wednesday. I wore the same navy dress I'd worn to the almost wedding, because I wanted to remind everyone, including myself, why we were there. The courtroom was packed. I saw Keisha sitting in the back, looking nervous. I saw people from Mount Zion, including Pastor Green. I saw Nia sitting on the other side of the room, avoiding eye contact with everyone. Deshaun walked in wearing an expensive suit, looking confident, like he thought he'd already won. Then the judge walked in. Judge Adrienne Baptiste, a no-nonsense Haitian woman in her 60s who'd been on the bench for 20 years. She looked at Deshaun like he was something unpleasant she'd stepped in. Let's begin, she said. Deshaun's lawyer, Mr. Hawkins, the one who'd warned me, went first. He laid out Deshaun's case, that I'd breached a verbal contract, caused emotional distress, and destroyed property. Then Rashida stood up. Your Honor, she said, my client didn't breach a contract. She withdrew financial support from an event after being publicly humiliated and excluded. But that's not what this case is really about. This case is about a pattern of fraud and elder abuse perpetrated by Mr. Martinez against vulnerable women. She presented everything. The evidence from Miami and Houston, the testimony from the other victims, who appeared via video call, bank statements showing exactly how much money I'd given Nia, and how quickly it had been transferred to accounts controlled by Deshaun. Then she called Nia to testify. My daughter walked to the stand looking small and scared. She was sworn in, and Rashida began asking questions. Ms. Fletcher, how did you meet Mr. Martinez? At a party, Nia said quietly. Last February. He was charming, funny. He made me feel special. When did he first mention marriage? After 2 weeks, Nia said. He said when you know, you know. And when did he first suggest asking your mother for money? Nia's voice got even quieter. A month later. He said we should have a big wedding because we deserved it. He said my mama would want to do this for me because she loved me. Did he ever mention his previous relationships? No, Nia said. He told me I was his first real love. Ms. Fletcher, were you aware that your mother was draining her retirement account to pay for your wedding? Nia started crying. Yes, but I didn't think about what that meant. Deshaun kept saying she'd be fine, that she could rebuild it, and I wanted to believe him because I wanted the wedding. Did Mr. Martinez ever show you affection or attention after you stopped asking your mother for money? No, Nia whispered. He got cold, distant. He started criticizing everything I did. And when I told him I felt like he'd changed, he said it was my fault for being too needy. Judge Baptiste leaned forward. Ms. Fletcher, I need to ask you a direct question. Did you know that Mr. Martinez had done this before to other women? No, Your Honor, Nia said firmly. I swear I didn't know. If I'd known, I never would have. She broke down completely. I never would have hurt my mama like this. I love her. I was just so stupid. After Nia's testimony, Rashida called me to the stand. I told my story, all of it, the years of sacrifice, the wedding planning, the humiliation at the church. By the time I finished, several people in the courtroom were crying. Then it was Deshawn's turn to testify. Mr. Hawkins tried his best, but there was no defending against the evidence. Deshawn's story kept changing. He contradicted himself. He got angry and defensive. Judge Baptiste let him dig his own grave for 20 minutes before she'd had enough. I've heard enough, she said. Mr. Martinez, I'm ruling against you on all counts. Not only will you not receive any damages, but I'm ordering you to repay Ms. Alma Fletcher the full amount of $71,000 plus interest and legal fees. You have 90 days. Deshawn jumped to his feet. That's not fair. She ruined my wedding. Sit down, Judge Baptiste said coldly. I'm also referring this case to the district attorney for criminal prosecution. You're a predator, Mr. Martinez. And I hope you spend a very long time in prison thinking about the women whose lives you've destroyed. She banged her gavel. We're adjourned. I walked out of that courtroom feeling lighter than I had in months. Wanda hugged me. Pastor Green hugged me. Even Keisha hugged me, whispering, "Thank you for stopping him." Nia stood off to the side, waiting. When everyone else had left, she approached me carefully. "Can I hug you?" she asked. I nodded, and she wrapped her arms around me. We stood there in the courthouse hallway, holding each other and crying. "I love you, Mama," she said. "And I'm going to spend the rest of my life making this up to you. I promise." "I love you too, baby," I said. "But we're going to take this slow, okay? We're going to rebuild our relationship the right way this time." "Okay," she said. "Whatever you need." That was 4 months ago. Today, I'm sitting in my house, the same little house on Maple Street, and I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. Deshawn was arrested 2 weeks after the hearing. He's currently awaiting trial on fraud charges in 3 states. The DA says he'll probably get 10 to 15 years. Nia and I talk once a week. She's in therapy, working through everything Deshawn did to her. She got a better job and she's saving money to pay me back, even though I told her she doesn't have to. We're not where we used to be, and maybe we never will be. But we're building something new, something healthier. The court ordered Deshawn to pay me back, but Rashida says I probably won't see most of that money. He's broke. Turns out all that expensive stuff was rented or bought on credit. But the refunds from the vendors, plus a small settlement from Deshawn's family, gave me about $19,000. It's not my retirement fund, but it's a start. I'm still working at St. Catherine's Hospital, but I cut back to part-time so I have more time for myself. Time to do things I never did when I was busy sacrificing everything for everyone else. I joined a book club at Bell's Cafe. I started taking a watercolor class at the community center. I went on a weekend trip to Savannah with Wanda just because we wanted to. Small things. But they're mine. Last Sunday at Mount Zion, Pastor Green asked me to share my testimony. I stood up in front of the congregation and told them my story, about sacrifice and betrayal, about losing everything and finding myself. I thought giving up my retirement money was the biggest sacrifice I could make, I said. But it wasn't. The biggest sacrifice was giving up myself. I spent so many years being just Mama that I forgot to be Alma. When I finished, the church erupted in applause. Afterward, 3 different women came up to me with similar stories. One of them was dealing with an adult son who'd stolen from her. Another had a daughter who only called when she needed money. We exchanged numbers, started a support group. Turns out I wasn't alone. I'd just been too busy being used to notice all the other women going through the same thing. Last week, Nia asked if she could take me to dinner for my birthday next month. I said yes. We're going to try. Maybe we'll be close again someday. Maybe we won't. But either way, I'm going to be okay. Because here's what I learned. Sometimes losing everything is the only way to find out what you're really made of. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you becomes the thing that saves you. I lost my retirement fund. I lost my daughter's trust, at least for a while. I lost my illusions about sacrifice and unconditional love. But I found something better. I found boundaries. I found self-respect. I found a community of women who understand that giving everything doesn't make you a good mother. It makes you an empty vessel. I found myself. The Alma I was before I became someone's mama. The Alma who had dreams and hobbies and a life of her own. The Alma who deserved to be treated with respect, not used up and thrown away. And that Alma? She's pretty amazing. My retirement fund is slowly rebuilding. It'll never be what it was. But that's okay. I'm learning that security doesn't just come from money in the bank. It comes from knowing your worth, from having people who value you, from being able to look in the mirror and respect the woman looking back. Sometimes Wanda and I sit on my porch in the evening, drinking sweet tea and watching the neighborhood kids ride their bikes. She'll look over at me and smile. "You did good, Alma," she'll say. And you know what? I believe her. I did good. Not because I gave everything away, but because I finally learned how to take something back. My dignity, my peace, my life. Deshawn took my money. Nia took my trust. But I took back my power. And that's worth more than any retirement fund ever could be. So if you're out there, reading this, and you recognize yourself in my story, if you're the one always giving, always sacrificing, always putting everyone else first, I want you to know something. It's okay to choose yourself. It's okay to say no. It's okay to walk away from people who don't appreciate what you do for them, even if that person is your own child. Especially if that person is your own child. Because the greatest gift you can give the people you love isn't your money or your time or your endless sacrifice. It's showing them what self-respect looks like. It's teaching them that love doesn't mean being a doormat. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is stop giving and start living. I'm 67 years old, and I'm just now learning how to live for myself. But better late than never, right? My name is Alma Fletcher, and this is my story. The story of how I lost everything and found myself. The story of how the worst day of my life became the first day of my new life. And honey, let me tell you, this new life is pretty sweet. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.